Hi everyone, welcome back to another session at TestMu Conference 2025. I'm Spursh Kesri, Senior Developer Relations Engineer at Laventest, and I'm excited to be host of this session. When life gives you lemons, are you counting them or making lemonade? Now in testing, we often rely on numbers, test case executed, bugs reported, pass rates to show success. But here's the big question. Do those numbers really affect software quality? Too often, these numbers are so-called vanity metrics, create a false sense of progress, encourage the wrong behaviors, and mislead decision making. In this session, we will uncover a 7-step framework designed to move beyond superficial KPIs and shift beyond metrics that actually drive business value. Drawing inspiration from analytical approaches in competitive sports, this model shows how teams can make smarter decisions, align testing efforts with real goals, and ensure that the data we track supports meaningful improvements. Before we begin, a couple of quick reminders. The session is being recorded, so if you miss anything, don't worry. You will receive a full recording of this session on your registered email, and you can also catch on later using replay or on our YouTube channel. Also, if you have any questions during the talk, please drop them in the Q&A chat on the right side. We also will take all of those questions during the end of the session. And now, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome our speaker, Chris Armstrong. Chris has been working in software quality since 2004, specializing in strategic test leadership. Over these years, he has led testing teams, navigated the challenges faced by test managers, and built skills that needed to turn those challenges into opportunities. He is passionate about quality in people, progress, and products. He is also a familiar voice in community and as a co-host at Testing Peers podcast. Chris is all about sparking engaging discussions and helping teams to see beyond numbers. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes, I made a slight faux pas this morning, believing that it was going to be 9:45 a.m. that I was going to be logged on, ready to speak. Checked my calendar, and it was 9:45 p.m. here in the UK. But we made it. Thank goodness it wasn't the other way around.
Thank you so much. It's very excited to have you and like looking forward to learning from you.
Lovely. Right. Shall I get on with sharing my screen then? Make sure everyone can see that. I can see that. You can see that. So that's a good start. All right. Are we good to go? Lovely. Right. Well, thank you very much for having me. I hope you've had a great day here already for TestMu and looking forward to the next couple of days. Thank you for joining my session. Those of you who are keen may notice that the image that I've got here is not just lemons, but maybe there's a hidden message that we have here. So KPIs, we love them. But when life gives you lemons, are you going to just count them? Or are you going to make lemonade? Let's move on. Just quickly, I appreciate Sparsh has done this, but who is Chris Armstrong? Why am I qualified to speak to you? Am I qualified to speak to you? I'm a head of QE. I'm in cross-functional leadership. I'm a strategist. I'm a tester. I'm a delivery consultant. I'm an explorer of all things software, life, the sanity of my family, and more. I'm an agile testing fellow. Massive props to Lisa Crispin and Janet Gregory for their great work in agile testing. I podcast and run the community and the brilliant conference PeersCon with Testing Peers. I do live streams with 9 out of 10 testers, and I am he, him for my pronouns. Little quick plug on the Testing Peers in case you've never heard of us. We run a conference in Nottingham in the UK every March, and we have launched our call for papers this month, and until end of next month we have an open call for papers, an open call for collaboration. We'd love to see you speak live on the Testing Peers stage. We also have a podcast that is available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Check us out. Check out Testing Peers. We've had not just me speaking, we've had 37 hosts. We have 133 episodes published so far. We've guest lectured at UK universities on computer science courses to sort of talk testing in areas where perhaps we don't get that stage to share with those wider in our industry. Enough about Testing Peers for now. Yeah, lemons. You may notice I'm going to go pretty hard on the theme of lemons today. And it's because, quite frankly, I like a good theme to run through these things. And just talking about numbers felt a bit rubbish to me. I'm going to lean very, very hard into this theme. Sometimes you might feel it a bit of a stretch, but I promise you there is a meaningful story and hopefully some really tangible takeaways for you all. But let's dive in and you can really feel the lemony zest coming through. Now, data is everywhere, but what are we doing with it? Oh, we have lost me and I'm back. That was fun. Data's everywhere, but what are we doing with it? Are we squeezing every drop of value or are we just counting the lemons on a tree? There are some classic metrics we have in QA. These aren't all of them. These are broad brushstrokes. But how many of you have ever been asked to provide the number of tests that we are doing? We are running, we are executing, we are writing. How many bugs have we found? How many bugs have escaped? What is the coverage of the bugs? I'm not saying these are necessarily wrong, but do they answer the question? Do they tell a valuable story? I've taken what I see as quite a nice infographic here from my friends at Product Plan here, just to describe the difference for you between vanity metrics and actionable metrics. There's a lot of metrics that we can provide that feel quite good. Numbers going up, number of tests going green, number of bugs going down looks good. We have many tests in this area, so therefore that means good, doesn't it? But what is the story that they're telling? Are they valuable? Do they help? Do they provide us with confidence? Do they inform us to make better business decisions? Do they help provide that confidence to our teams, to our colleagues? Sherilyn Kenyon says, well, just because you can, it doesn't mean you should. And in that way, that can be true when it comes to counting, collecting all of the data, running all of the tests all of the time, providing all of the information to everybody all of the time. Is it helpful? Are you told to automate all of your tests? All of them? Should you? What's the value? Why? Now, I was inspired about this and this sort of my mind got thinking a lot when I was running a series of articles and posts on LinkedIn over the last year. And I used a hashtag. Who doesn't have a hashtag these days? I love Brigesses. And I was using break the cookie cutter because, frankly, copy paste, lift and shift, taking what I've had from one company to another verbatim. Does that actually provide value? Does that tell a story? Does that in any way feel like it is context informed? Probably not, as it is. So, I'm also a big fan of football. This is soccer to you American listeners out there. And on my looking around for things to entertain me on YouTube, I stumbled across a video by Root None called What is the least competitive league in world football. Now, Rootnun, he had a hypothesis based on what information he had available to him, sort of themes and patterns that he'd seen. And he thought to himself, I reckon maybe the German league, which has Bayern Munich in there, maybe that is the least competitive league in world football. But he wasn't satisfied to just sit there and go, yeah, right, pat myself on the back. He didn't go and ask Gemini or ChatGPT what is the least competitive league in world football. What he did, and what I love, is he went and found sourced data driven by this hypothesis. He wanted to prove it. So he went and he collected over 200 top tier divisions across world football, and he collected their data over the past 15, 20 years. And then he had to look for sanitized data, clean data, consistent data. And so he then started having to eliminate, throwing away various leagues that didn't comply with a system to allow for him to have a consistent story where consistent data came in. He could tell a story via what he called the Farmers League Index. The formula is on the screen for you in case you want to take it for yourself. And then he could apply this across all of these leagues that still were compliant. It was still over 100 leagues. And then he was able to uncover which league was the least competitive. I loved the way he talked through this and the way he was inspired, the way he accepted that there was some data he had to throw away, and the little flow that he took as he went through. And so, even if you don't like football, check out this video. It's very cool. But anyway, let's move on. Let's see how we can make this apply to a KPI. Freshly squeezed, 7 steps for KPIs. There will be a recap at the end, friends. Number 1, define the premise and the context. When choosing your lemons, know what kind of lemonade you want to make. Now, before making lemonade, you need to know what you're working with. What problem are you trying to solve? What constraints or variables affect the situation? A clear understanding of the landscape will ensure that you are focusing on the right things. Whether it's market demand, customer needs, or business objectives, think value, think audience, the story that you're actually trying to tell. We as testers very often are storytellers. We need to tell compelling stories, stories of quality, stories of error, stories of risk, stories of opportunity. We need that context. So let's define that premise, gather that context, understand it, know what we're working with. Step 2, hypothesize and identify your metrics. What will the data reveal? Are the lemons going to be sweet? Will they be sour? And just as you estimate how much sugar or water you might add, you need a solid hypothesis about what the data will reveal. Choosing meaningful metrics ensures that you're measuring value, not just volume. A good hypothesis leads to insights that can drive real decisions, rather than just filling in reports with numbers. In Rootnun's video, he hypothesized his gut instinct. Our testing gut can drive so much, it can lead us down important paths. But we would be foolish to just land there without any data. How would anyone really trust us? Good friend of mine and testing peer Callum Akehurst Ryan says we should strive to be trusted advisors as testers in the workplace. So, what do we need to support our hypothesis? What metrics are going to support this? What are they going to uncover? So, we need to gather and assess our data quality. gathering quality inputs and sourcing fresh lemons from reliable orchards. I am told that orchards isn't the only term that we use, but if this is the only misnomer you take from the talk, I'll feel like I've done all right. You wouldn't use spoiled, bad lemons in your lemonade, and the same goes for your data. Bad inputs will lead to misleading insights. Understanding data sources, identifying biases, and ensuring accuracy are all critical steps. Poor data can make even the most well-intentioned analysis completely unreliable. Now, Root Nunn in his video, he talks about the importance of good quality and consistent data to support your KPIs. Errant, inconsistent data will paint errant and inconsistent pictures of quality. Remember that a key part of our testing is the informed exploration of our product. Its integrations, its performance, the meeting of the quality aspects as experienced by our end user, whoever they might be. And we really should know who they are. We should be able to gauge the level of confidence in the quality of our product. Now, there are a million analogies that I can throw in here about consistency, but as with the use of AI these days, and we hear a lot of talks about AI these days, the quality of the output isn't just in the intelligence of your favorite tool. It's also on the inputs that you give it, the clarity of the requirements that we have, the boundaries, the scope. Have you been on LinkedIn lately? Have you seen what people are talking about? There is a lot of AI generated images, posts, things that maybe haven't even really been read by people before they've hit post. I've played around with it, and I think actually, truly, it's something that we have to do. We have to know, we have to learn, we have to investigate, become experts in the technology so that we can drive forward. But just because everyone's doing these things, does it mean we should? Where is the value? How can we find the gold in amongst all these things? If you're looking at LinkedIn posts and you're thinking, I'll just generate something quickly and hitting it, what are you seeking? What are you hoping to achieve? Is it transparency? Is it statistics? Is it analytics? What are the good data points? Do clicks equal success? Fame? Money? I had a quick look on YouTube to see what I'd need to start earning money on YouTube. No, it's not very much. It's a lot of work to achieve, not very much. But what really is it? What are we trying to achieve when we're putting stuff out into the ether? I hope engagement, but the more that we do this, the more we spit out. Is it really valuable? I found this image online from Forest Derziel, and I think it's quite a nice little image, and I just dwell on it for a second because I think that garbage in, garbage out has never been more important than today with the AI adoption. Now, I've been working with a lot of engineers recently, and adopting AI is a real thing. And they say, well, what do we need to do to adopt AI? Pick your favorite tool and go with it. Ask Copilot, chat to Gemini, see what Perplexity's doing. Sure. But if you want it to provide real value, if you want it to convert from that junior engineer, that thing that you roll your eyes at, sanitize your data points, baseline things, have faith in what you're feeding it first. Put that good work in, you'll get there. How can we do that as testers? I'm a really big fan of Ministry of Testing's one-page test plan article that they've got. It was written by 𝐂𝐸𝐬. I believe it's been updated by Eddie Stokes recently also. Huge kudos to Ministry of Testing's vast array of resources. They are our community partner here as well. Good people. Check them out. But just look for a second at this one-page test plan. Look at the simple split division that they have. We have an introduction. We have our scope. We have risks, assumption, resources, timescales, environments, and tools. That is a consistent input that we can use to inform things. We can recognize the limitations, our biases, our scope. And there's the line. Sometimes you might only have the lemon zest to work with. Knowing what you've got will allow you to work with it. Step number 4. You still with me? Still feeling that lemon? Analyze and model the data. Squeeze out the juice. Discard the pith. Mix your ingredients properly. This stage, it involves processing and interpreting data effectively, finding meaningful patterns, and ensuring that your models align with reality. Are you identifying trends that matter, or are you forcing conclusions based on incomplete information? You should develop a model to interpret the data and find the right balance of lemon, sugar, and water. You will identify anomalies or data points that you might feel you've got to try and shoehorn into your models. These can be really damaging. The value can be greatly reduced in terms of trust, in terms of clarity. Route None ended up having to remove loads of those data points, like I said. They just didn't fit. Things like Major League Soccer didn't fit into his model because there is no promotion relegation. There's a playoff system at the end, so the table doesn't matter so much. Transparency here is your friend. As mentioned before, at different levels of testing, we're going to have to focus on different data points, but clearly abstracting things, moving things out that don't make sense. Do so, do it clearly, be that trusted advisor. Now, maybe some of you are going to be locked into something like an external dependency, maybe something like Salesforce's release cycle, which is every 4 months. You're locked into that. That is some known constraints that you have. Maybe you've got some service architecture that you might be testing down the line in the stack, and you might be measuring that very differently to how you'd measure your UAT. Maybe there's a legacy application that you're using. Maybe there's a monolith and you can't work with services. But understanding these things, clarity is going to help you when telling a compelling and valid story of quality. Number 5, test and validate your assumptions. Taste it. Taste the lemonade. Adjust as required. Run your data through the model. Test your hypotheses. Taste your lemonade and adjust as needed. Taste test your lemonade. Before taking action, validate the insights. Hold up. Cross-check against different data sets. Stress test your assumptions. And be open to refining your conclusions. If something tastes off, you might just need to adjust your approach. There are great people out there in the world. People that you can sanity test things with, rubber duck with people, find things out. Don't be too precious about your work. I know sometimes we don't work in psychologically safe places, but you don't want to end up going all the way down the line and presenting something that's wrong, that's off, that doesn't meet the needs. Now, you've likely heard from a few people, probably not testers, that anyone can test. Now, while that is technically true, it is a bit more nuanced. Like, anyone can sing, but could you make a Grammy-winning record? Some of the values that I seek in testers include, but are very much not limited to, curiosity, critical thinking, technical communication, humility and collaboration, and someone to seek context first so that we can deliver with confidence. Henry Winkler, the Fonz from Happy Days, says assumptions are the termites of relationships. Software development really is a social activity, even in the age of AI. In software development, assumptions are just like hidden bugs in the code. Just as termites silently weaken the foundation of a building, unchecked assumptions can undermine the stability of a project. These assumptions, if not addressed, can lead to misunderstandings, flawed design choices, and ultimately software that fails to meet user needs. Just as a structure needs regular inspection to prevent termite damage, software development requires continuous validation and communication to ensure that assumptions do not erode the integrity of the final product. Number 6, you still with me? Refine and iterate. Try new recipes until you get it right. Now, maybe your lemonade needs a little bit more sugar. Maybe it's too sweet. The best insights do come from iteration. Like, I know people say agile's dead, but agile's like a mindset. It's a thing, it's an approach, it's empiricism. It's all about learning from context and changing to adapt to those needs. Refining our models and continuously improving the approaches based on what we learn, that's agile, right? This ensures that our KPIs then remain relevant, truly valuable over time. Just because something was true in the past doesn't mean it's true today. Context is forever changing, and our models need to be resilient, and what success looks like today will be different tomorrow. In consultancy, I've worked where we've written out contracts with deliverables, markers for success, things that we anticipate will be how we know that we have succeeded or failed. But as we've gone down the line, as we've built that trusted advisor, strategic partner relationship, we realized context has changed. We could carry on down the line, fix ourselves to the letter on our statement of work and say, I'm going to deliver this because we signed on the dotted line. You're going to pay for it. You're going to get it. Or we can have a conversation, that trusted conversation based on context and say, actually, this doesn't provide you value now. Or context has changed. We should do this later. We should now do this other thing at a different time. I don't know about you, but I find humans that you trust, that you can work with, that you can have good conversations with, that you can be data informed and have those context driven, data driven discussions. Most people are open to those because everyone wants value. No one wants to feel like they're delivering the wrong thing. It's not about staying humble, it's about being decisive, and it's about really caring. And I think that's the most important thing. Who hasn't seen this Thomas Edison quote before? I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. There's another talk that I've done recently, which is all focused around the change of our mindset as testers. That from being the harbingers of doom, the bringers of failure, pointing at things and going, that's wrong, you broke it, you're rubbish. Or worse, being the ones that are excluded because we're just testers. We're end of the line. We're always the bottleneck. We're the ones to blame when the customer's unhappy. A very negative space that I think a lot of us can probably relate to at some point in our careers. But actually, I realized through experience, through discussions, through experimenting, that changing the way that I look at things from failure to opportunity changes the way people work with me, changes the opportunities that come my way, changes the way that I feel about my work, my position as a tester in the workplace. Everything is an opportunity to learn. to iterate, to improve. I think we should remember that. Iteration is a good thing. Learning is a good thing. Dwelling in our failure, not a great thing. Sure, bad things happen, but we got to move forwards. And so, we as testers, we like good, don't we? Vince Lombardi, I use this quote a lot, so apologies if you've heard this before. But Vince Lombardi of Super Bowl fame said perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. And this really is me desperately pushing home the value of iteration, of experimentation, of learning. Point 7. We've made it, friends. Communicate your findings. I said visibility. We win with visibility. It's one of the first lines I use when I join my latest project. People don't know what testers do. They just think we're bugs. They just think we're that in testing column. There is so much more. How we measure these things, right? Serve your lemonade with a story that makes it refreshing and shows its value. Present your results with a compelling story. Serve your lemonade with a story that makes it refreshing and valuable. Serve it up in the best way possible. Even the best insights are useless if they aren't understood or acted upon. Let's just dwell on that for a quick second. Anyone ever had actions agreed in retrospectives or other meetings that then died, and the next time you had a retrospective, the same ones came back up? Yeah, I know I have. Anyway, effective and applicable data storytelling ensures that we have got numbers that lead to actions. Whether presenting to leadership or to your team, making data digestible and appropriate and meaningful is key. What use is all the work if we don't socialize it? If that data isn't shareable, well, testing provides no confidence. It yields no actionable rewards. All too often, we can be seen as gatekeepers, like I said, or worse, a cost with no ROI. Valuable insights, refreshing data that hits the spot. It allows for teams to optimize, to refine, to iterate, to serve up better quality to their customers sooner, and to be proactive rather than reactive. Where do you share them? Are they progress reports? Tooling? Are we gatekeeping QA ourselves? When in reality, quality should be everyone's responsibility. Now, does anyone know the lemon law? Worse, what is the lemon law of metrics? If you don't know the lemon law, don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. Typically, in America, lemon laws are laws that provide a remedy for purchases of cars and other consumer goods in order to compensate for products that repeatedly fail to meet the standards of quality and performance. Although many types of products can be defective, the term lemon is mostly used to describe defective motor vehicles such as cars, trucks, bikes. But not all metrics are created equal. Just as a bad lemon can ruin a recipe, bad KPIs can lead to poor decision making. Harmful metrics often focus on output over outcome, quantity over quality, and we didn't dive too much into this, but they can be very easily gamified. For example, measuring the number of automated tests run might seem useful, but without considering the test's relevance or quality, it can just be more noise. So, to avoid this, choose the metrics that align with your strategic goals. Emphasize value and reflect the reality of your project. Consider leading versus lagging indicators and qualitative as well as quantitative data. There's some great examples of qualitative and quantitative work within the agile testing works of Lisa and Janet. I highly recommend you take a look at them. Share real world examples of gamifiable and misleading KPIs. Think about it. Do you know someone in the workplace? I worked on a computer game that was a driving sim, and people were genuinely rewarded for the most bugs raised and the most bugs fixed. So a tester and a dev could actually work quite nicely together. And I saw examples where folks were able to see one bug that repeated several times on one straight on a driving course. And they raised an individual bug for maybe 6, 7, 8 instances of the same bug, but with a different location. And then they then had 7 bugs that they could check and say, I've raised 7 bugs, aren't I important? The developer was able to say, I fixed 7 bugs, aren't I very good? What value was provided? One thing was fixed, and all that admin time was wasted. When metrics go bad, your lemonade turns out to be just some bitter water. I told you the lemon stuff was going to flow through the whole talk. So, from counting lemons to making lemonade, shifting away from vanity metrics to meaningful KPIs isn't just a data exercise. It requires a mindset change, and not just for testers. But by applying, or at least thinking about, this 7-step framework, you can ensure that your data initiatives focus on delivering genuine value, driving action, and avoiding sour outcomes. When the focus is on value and context, the data not only tells a story, but it also empowers better decision making. It's not just about the number of lemons, it's about the quality of your lemonade. So here's your recap. Define the problem and the context. Before make the lemonade, you need to know what you're working with, what problem you're trying to solve, what constraints or variables affect your situation. A clear understanding of your landscape ensures that you're focusing on the right things, whether it's market demand, customer needs, or business objectives. 2, hypothesize and identify your metrics. Just as you estimate how much sugar and water to add, you need solid hypotheses about what the data will reveal. Choosing meaningful metrics ensures you are measuring value, not just volume. A good hypothesis leads to insights that can drive real decisions, rather than just filling reports with numbers. 3, gather and assess data quality. You wouldn't use spoiled lemons in your lemonade, and the same goes for your data. Bad inputs lead to misleading insights. Understanding data sources, identifying biases, and ensuring accuracy are all critical steps. Poor data can make even the most well-intentioned analysis completely unreliable. 4, analyze the model, the data. Mix your ingredients properly. This stage involves processing and interpreting data effectively, finding meaningful patterns, and ensuring that your models align with reality. Are you identifying trends that matter, or are you forcing conclusions based on incomplete information? 5, test and validate your assumptions. Iterate, learn, taste test, change based on the context that you have. Check with other people, make sure that they're happy. If something tastes off, adjust your approach. Refine and iterate. I'm going to go on about that a lot. And then communicate your findings, socialize it. We win with visibility and transparency. So, your key takeaways, friends. Bad quality in is going to lead to bad quality out. Garbage in, garbage out. There's an expletive version as well. Good KPIs drive action and align with your strategic goals. And avoid your sour outcomes by choosing metrics that reflect true value. That, my friends, is the end. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have some valuable questions or insights or things to share. We don't hear you, Sparsh. I think you're muted.
So sorry. Thank you so much, Chris, for a zesty and insightful session. I think we all agree when you give us a fresh perspective of how now to just count lemons, but all actually turn them into meaningful lemonade when it comes to metrics. Instead of being stuck with our sour vanity metrics, now we have a recipe of something that is more refreshing and valuable. Now it's time for squeezing even more goodness, and let's jump into some Q&A questions. Though it's sort of you sort of covered those questions in your presentation and your formulas, but let's hear your thoughts on these questions as well.
Cool.
Coming to the first question, how can QA measure success in terms of real business outcomes like happy customers or fewer outages instead of just counting test cases or bugs?
It's a great question. And in reality, the more you can know about your customers, your end users, the more powerful an advocate you're going to be. It's all about that gathering of context. Um, I worked in a company where we made automotive diagnostic tools. Our customers were folks working in garages, mechanics. We, sitting in our lovely, clean, pristine offices, couldn't appreciate them no matter what we did. We could make assumptions, but as we've said, assumptions don't really help us. So we organized UX events. We went to their sites. We understood more than just a persona that you can create through an online workshop. We saw how they used our software. We understood their problems, their context, how they interfaced with the software. And then we were able to be more informed about how they used it, what their problems were going forwards to advocate for it. We also were able to capture meaningful analytics from the software that actually fed into how we represented those things. We built relationships with our technical writers team, our customer service team. We understood many different advocates for the business as well as for our customers that when I said software development is a social activity, it really is. It's building relationships to glean, to paint a picture of context. If we understand these things, then we can not only build out some hypotheses about is this actually what good would look like, but we can validate them with people. You can use exercises like risk storming with clients where you can understand what are the key quality aspects by which they infer using your product. Things like that, really important exercises. And the more you can validate them as you go through, and the earlier, short feedback loops aren't a lie, you're going to find a lot more value and you're going to be able to build better measures of success.
Thank you, Chris. I hope that answers your question, Viju. Uh, Moving to the next question, there are scenarios where the leadership and devs really don't care about care about shipping fast and less resilient on testing and bugs. How could we make more impact in an AI world?
This probably comes into play more and more, like we say, in an AI world where everyone is thinking, well, we can just generate tests. We don't need to worry about those sorts of things. But actually, let's face it, the AI revolution isn't really hitting only test. It's hitting everybody, and everyone has their own context, and a lot of people's worlds are being shaken. To make an impact in the AI world, in many ways, isn't different from making an impact in the software development world. It's being a trusted advisor. It's making problems known, confidence known. It's sharing these things. It's, I said testing is often an accelerator, an optimizer. We have pipelines that exist that are not just physical pipelines in your AWS and DevOps world, but also what is our flow from design through release. And I don't know about you, but I'm quite good at looking around curiously and finding problems and leaning into them and sharing those things. We are a team. And when I said quality is everyone's responsibility, we're advocates for quality, not just of our end product, but of the way that we work, the way that we interface, the way that we advocate, the way that we learn, the way that we identify opportunities. The world is changing. We have to make sure that we are at the forefront of those things and are aware. But just coming forward to people and going, well, if you do this, you're going to regret it. That's like a negative tale that folks don't necessarily lean into. As a Brit who had to suffer in the election for Brexit, my interpretation for Brexit leaving the European Union was that the folks who were campaigning to leave the EU were saying everything's going to be great if we leave the EU. The folks that were saying we should stay in the EU were saying everything will be rubbish if we leave the EU. That kind of message, that positive message, is compelling to people who are on the fence. Like, it might not come naturally to us. We might well be rolling our eyes, but we have to find a way to speak the language that's going to best earn people's respect, but also to sway them, to help them see through their own lens the value of the work that we're doing. And that's not always the easiest thing, especially when we're feeling challenged. But testing at speed, testing at scale, man, there's a lot of people that write about it, a lot of people that talk about it. Why don't we go at it, find those things and go, I've got a solution. Let's be proactive.
Completely agree. Thank you so much, Chris. I think we are a bit short on time, so there are a couple of Q&A questions that we will share with Chris, and he will help us answer asynchronously. And we'll be posting those on our Lambda community. And thank you so much again, Chris, for sharing such an insightful session, and your analogy will really conveyed those things together. So thank you so much to all our attendees as well. And with that, we will wrap this session. And hope you are enjoying all the sessions in TestMu, and enjoy the rest of TestMu. And don't forget to keep making lemonade, and not just counting your lemons. Thank you so much.